Welcome back to the Science of Peace, and today we are going to be talking about why you should stop thinking about shit that makes you upset. Not only should you stop thinking about that shit, but you should stop talking about it, okay? And the reason why is because it actually affects your healing process. And not just if you're sick or if you have a wound and you need healing, but it will actually, and I'm going to give you some examples from research studies. It will actually, your body will actually start to down-regulate or suppress proteins that are linked to healing. Okay, so we're going to continue on with our book, You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So researchers at Ohio State University College of Medicine basically confirm that stressful emotions trigger hormonal and genetic responses. So basically they did an experiment where they were measuring the speed of healing on minor skin wounds. And basically what they did was they took 42 married couples and they gave them a wound. So they gave them what you call I'll make sure I get it right. Small suction blisters, okay? And then they monitored 3 proteins that are linked to healing. And those proteins, help you heal fast, basically, when they're kicked into effect. So the couples were asked to have a neutral discussion for half an hour as a baseline. Then later, they were instructed to talk about a previous marital argument. So first they had them have a neutral discussion, and then they monitored their 3 proteins that are linked to healing. And then they asked them to have a conversation about a previous disagreement or argument that they've had. So what do you think happened? Think about it. Now, the researchers found that after the couples discussed a previous disagreement, their level of healing linked proteins was mildly suppressed. So compared to the baseline when they were talking about something neutral, when they started talking about something that was not neutral, that got them upset, that reminded them of a previous argument, those healing proteins began to down-regulate, meaning they began to be suppressed. Okay. Now, what they also found out was that 40%, okay, let's see this, the suppression rose to an even greater degree, about 40% in couples whose discussion ballooned into a significant conflict, or if they used sarcastic comments, criticism, and put downs. So they just didn't have, they weren't just talking about the previous argument, but they actually began to get upset again talking about the argument, and it led to another argument. So those genes, those proteins, basically it was a 40% deduction, a 40% suppression. You know what I'm saying? So what does that tell you? That basically, if you want to remain healthy and you want your body to basically be at its optimum, it's best if you limit when you do have a conflict or an argument or something goes awry. It's best that you limit how long you think about that event, because we already talked about how your thoughts can literally kill you, right? And your thoughts can literally heal you, okay? So if you limit the amount of time that you spend thinking about that bad thing that happened, and what we do as a people a lot of times is that something bad will happen. So then, of course, like you might tell your partner, or if it's your partner, if it's about your partner, you might tell your best friend or whatever, right? So you tell it once, and then you find yourself telling the story again and again, and then every time you tell the story, you're reliving that event, okay? And based on the science of the matter, every time your body relives that event, because your body can't distinguish whether it's happening currently or if it happened in the past. It doesn't really matter. The past, present, and the future in relation to quantum physics is all one. So if your body keeps reliving that experience, it keeps thinking that it's happening. So then now what? You're gonna kick into those stressful hormones, fight or flight. Those stress hormones get released, and that's not a time for healing. So it actually starts to downregulate or suppress those proteins that are in your body that are linked to healing. Because if you're in an attack mode, or if your body feels like it's under attack, that's not the time where your body's going to say, let me heal myself right now. Okay? It's going to kick out a stress hormone that's going to allow you to either fight or fight. So just remember that because the mind is powerful. Just remember that when something bad happens, or something that you perceive negative to happen, try to limit the amount of time or the amount of energy that you give it. And remember that every time you retell that story, you're giving it energy. So, wherever your attention goes, energy flows.